at that point I was like, okay, if you're not taking risks, you're not going to get a reward. I got to pull the trigger here.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Super Tutor channel. In today's video, we are bringing you some new content. Super Tutor is all about learning, growing, and achieving goals. And in my opinion, there's no one better to talk about learning, growing, and achieving goals than my younger brother, Shea. This is Shea right here.
What's going on?
Briefly introduce yourself, Shea.
My name is Shea. I'm 19, and I just recently bought my first rental property.
Amazing stuff. He's got a lot of cool things to talk to us about. And honestly, I know very little about what is going on in the real estate market, what he's doing, and some of the types of steps he's taking to achieve his goals. So I'm going to let him tell us his story and then dive into a couple of things that he has gotten into, and he can tell us about them. So, yeah, why don't you tell us about what got you started in real estate and how you've gotten from point A to now point B where you own a rental property?
I'm just laughing because the screen froze.
Well, we're gonna have to deal with some kinks, but
Yeah. Uh, I guess it kind of started when I got my youth apprenticeship. Um, I was able to start working towards at least a secure job to provide me with income. Because at the end of the day, I just like making a lot of money. That's what it's all about.
and can you explain what the youth apprenticeship was?
Basically, while I was a senior in high school, for 20 hours a week, I'd go work at the factory to learn to be a pipe fitter. And I did that for the entire school year, which then, towards the end of the year, they decided whether or not they wanted to hire me on full time or if they were going to let me walk. At first, I thought of myself as someone, oh, I'm just going to go to college to get a business degree and, work my way up to a company and become some corporate guy who runs a company. So I ended up signing up, not necessarily knowing what I was getting myself into, but knowing it was a good idea. Um, and I ended up starting off, like I said, as a pipe fitter in the youth apprenticeship and kind of just worked my way through there. I never was once really interested in the field itself, but I knew what it was going to lead to.
So that's really cool stuff. Can you explain how you went from youth apprenticeship pipe fitting to now your supreme, really high interest in real estate?
So basically, even before I started my youth apprenticeship, I got interested in money when I was working at the car wash. That's where I realized I like to make a lot of money, and then when I was there, started learning how to control it better, how to make money with money. So I started getting into investing, and then when my grandpa, when he got us that book, got me a book about investing. It's like tips from Warren Buffett, stuff like that. It had mentioned real estate, so I started looking into it more because it's something I've heard of before, but I didn't know a lot about. And then the more I looked into it, I realized this is something I want to do. It has a higher return on investment, a faster return on investment. It's more work, but you can gain a lot of wealth from real estate.
Tell us, people who aren't aware or people who are interested in making that big jump, how did you go from just working at the factory, pipe fitting, working overtime to collect extra money so that you could save up, which is a key thing that I know people are going to need to do. There's lots of money involved. This is a big investment. And so what Shea did was he spent a ton of time working overtime, working holidays, working weekends, just to save up that extra cash. So can you explain from that step, once you kind of had the money and the idea that you wanted to purchase a property, how did you go from that? Who did you talk to? And what kind of steps did you take to get there?
Well, the key thing was because at first I had moved into this apartment I'm in currently that I'm about to move out of. And the thing that was nice about it is like I was able to understand how to budget my money better and get an understanding of what I can afford, what I can't afford, and how much I could save, and then, like you said, work overtime and pour it into the savings. I knew I wanted to get a property. That was the goal. By the end of the 1 year I've lived here, to buy a property and go from there. There's a lot of different fear factors that can get in your way before buying a property, because it is a big investment. But then at that point I was like, okay, if you're not taking risks, you're not going to get a reward. I got to pull the trigger here. It's nerve wracking, but I got to pull the trigger. So I started meeting with people to get a step-by-step of what I should do in order to get that first place, and then went on from there.
Talk a little bit more about some of those emotions you were feeling in that kind of moment when you're like, I need to pull the trigger on this. Is it fear? Is it, obviously you said it's nerve-wracking. What kind of emotions are going through you? And what is one shoulder kind of telling you like, this is risky, don't do it, just stay the course at the job, just make your salary, and is the other shoulder kind of pushing you to go forward? Who are you listening to more? What's the driving force?
There are definitely two voices that you're listening to in your head when you're going through that process, because, like I had said, it's scary. The emotions going through your head are more and less just like, what am I doing? It's kind of a lot of confusion, a lot of, well, you only live once, because you don't know what you're doing. You just got to do it. And eventually, that's how you learn, is by actually doing it, because you're not going to learn any other way. But in terms of the conflicting voices, it's not an easy process at first, because there's a lot of different things that you need to have as requirements to even get a loan. And then once you do get the approval of the loan and everything, then you got to send in other documents, and you're like, dude, what does this mean? So you got to start asking people, and it's nerve-wracking, because myself, I don't like talking to people. I have social anxiety, so that's already something that gets in the way. But then ultimately you got to listen to the really small voice over here that just says, just do it. Just do it. You know what you want. Just do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with the same things. Being an athlete, you kind of get those doubters in your head, and those are tough things to try to combat. And sometimes you listen to them, and it really sucks, because you know exactly how you're going to feel when you listen to the guy that says, don't do it, don't do it. You know exactly what's going to happen.
Well, and the thing is, too, is like, when you listen to that one, you still feel comfortable. That's the thing, is you're comfortable when you're listening to the bad one. Yeah. But getting uncomfortable is the way you will succeed more, by pushing yourself into new territories, because you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good stuff. And for our listeners, I don't know how many of them there will be. That's really good stuff. That's really good stuff. Okay, quick background change. The audio is going to be really weird, I think, too. I do apologize for that. My roommate got home. He's got a friend over, and he's very loud. We love him, though. He's a good guy. So Shea, tell us about the process again of going from this lump sum of money and what you actually had to do to purchase this property. We talked about the emotions and some of the other stuff that led you to that point, but for people at home who are looking to do this exact thing, what's the process look like?
So the first thing I did was meet with another real estate investor that I've known for a while, a former baseball coach. And he had told me basically to get a pre-approval for a loan. So that's what I did. I went to the bank and said, hey, how much could I get approved for? And they gave me a pre-approval within 10 minutes. And then at that point, I was able to go on my way and start searching for the property. The pre-approval is the most ideal way of doing it, because that way, before you even message any other realtors or any other people selling properties, you could say, hey, this is how much I got. Let's move forward with it. It speeds up the process. and you don't have to worry about the bank pulling out or anything like that. So I got the pre-approval, and then at that point messaged a realtor. I actually messaged a couple of different ones because I was like, dude, I don't know who to call, who to text, who to whatever. So I'm just like, all right, let me see who gets back to me first. And I got in touch with a realtor, and they sent me a few options on what was available. And for at the time, I think I probably got the best one for what I was looking at. And me personally, I was looking for something that has potential to have value added into it, and something lower than that pre-approval limit. So that way I could add equity into the property while also being able to raise rents in the property as well. So then at that point, settled on a property, got it under contract, and then you have 30 days till you close. Sometimes it can go faster depending on who you have or the bank and whatnot. But I had 30 days to close, so I had to send them in a bunch of different documents and do a bunch of different signatures and do home inspection, do all that stuff that comes along with it. And then on that last day, you go in, you close, you get the key, and the place is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, very articulate answer. That's good stuff. That's going to be very valuable to people interested. Again, I'm going to apologize. Someone just started mowing their lawn outside, so I don't know if that's coming through the audio or not.
I don't hear it through here.
Plenty of cars driving by too. We're in Milwaukee, and I'm in a sunroom that is poorly insulated. So anyway, there's one last thing I want to talk about, and that is Super Tutor. Super Tutor has an amazing new tool called your goals feature, and there are more improvements that are going to be added. So this is bare bones, but it is already an amazing feature that we can use to get ideas and figure out some of the first steps we need to take to achieving goals. So this is what the goals feature looks like. This is where you'll type in your goal, and it'll give you actionable items that you can take to basically complete some of the steps in order to achieve your goal. Again, this is very basic, but what it's going to allow you to do is get the ideas and kind of the first things you need to know what to do in order to achieve your goal. And as you can see here, I've added a couple just for fun, just to see what will happen. But today we're going to do purchasing my first rental property. And we're going to add that as a goal. What we can do here, we can add ambition if we want. And what that's going to do is basically make the goal much more firm, much more ambitious. A portfolio of 10 rental properties. That's a lot of extra ambition here. And what we're going to do is add action items, and then it's going to give us a list of things we can achieve, and we're going to ask Shea some of these things to see if they're similar to what he did. So the first action item we get is research and identify potential rental properties in economically stable or growing regions. That sounds about like what Shea's doing. Shea, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'd say that's valid. That's actually the first thing you want to do before you're even have any idea what you're doing. You want to go around and see, okay, how much are things renting for? How much how much would I be able to make based off of which area you're investing in? So that's definitely one of the first things you want to do.
Okay, and the second one is create a realistic financial model that considers purchase prices, maintenance costs, potential rental income, and any other relevant expenses. Shay, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely something you'd want to have. Just as a clean way of managing the property itself, makes it easier to track and then know exactly how much you're making profit. And then also to know for tax purposes as well, how much is going out in which unit and all that.
Gotcha. And are there any other kind of costs you think people should consider?
I mean, there's property taxes. You got to, think of income tax as well. There's maintenance, like it shows on there. Insurance.
Big one.
Obviously, the principal and interest on the loan itself. And then you want to set aside probably around 10% of what you're making for future maintenance. That way you don't have to,
You have it budgeted already.
Right, exactly. You don't have to, stress about it. It's a cushion.
Yeah. The third one is secure financing or capital required for the purchase and upkeep of the portfolio, and then consider working with mortgage brokers or financial advisors for the best options. There's some people, obviously you talked about our old baseball coach who's a realtor, helped you out. Are there any other people that you've talked to in getting this first property, or do you kind of just agree with this? Obviously, you don't have a portfolio of 10 rental properties yet.
Right. I mean, I'd say I talked to a few other people, but in terms of getting your first, I mean, you don't need everybody in the world telling you what to do.
Especially when you're talking about like mortgage brokers and financial advisors, like those are people you pay. So it's you don't have a
exactly, and
yet.
I guess you don't necessarily need a financial advisor if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And a mortgage broker, I mean, that's getting your pre-approval.
Yeah.
I would argue, honestly, that you could put that before creating a financial model. Kind of because when you're getting your pre-approval, they're looking at your income. So that's also kind of giving you a limit to what you should be able to spend. And, knowing yourself and your own spending habits and lifestyle, that's when you would, want to create your model. But I'd argue, honestly, you could flip-flop those two and work on just securing a place first, as long as you got that, pre-approval.
Mm-hmm. And then it looks like the final of 4 steps here is to engage a real estate agent or agency with experience in investment properties to assist in acquiring the chosen properties. Any thoughts there? That sounds about kind of what we've talked about.
Yeah, I'd say that sums it up pretty good.
Yeah, especially as you get into bigger and bigger properties, like your property is a duplex. As you get into bigger and bigger stuff, especially when we talk about commercial real estate, agencies and brokers are probably where you need to go. If you're not already working for somebody already,
Yeah, and if you want to be the most successful with all that, you're going to want to have those good relationships, so that way you can get deals before they hit the market. And negotiate before it hits the market, before you have to worry about competition. So, when you build those relationships, people will be like, hey, I got something, So.
Yeah, that's a key part. Building relationships, that's kind of like the number one thing in business and these investment things is who you know. And people talk about that a lot. And I guess that's not to be understated, for sure.
Right.
So that about wraps up what we've got to talk about today. A lot of cool stuff here from Shea. I'm going to let him have the floor for a moment and, let him say any final thoughts he has.
Yeah, I'd say anyone who is probably currently at the age of 15 or higher, first off, go get yourself a job. Start making yourself some money. Start setting aside a lot of money, as much as you can. Learn about investing, whether that's stocks or real estate or what other form of investing you want to do. Definitely do it, because if you want to achieve financial freedom, a job isn't going to get that for you. You have to set aside your money so your money can make money for you. You can retire faster with more. And, like I said, there's many different ways you can invest your money. If you don't know what you're doing, but you want to get into it, find a financial advisor. Find someone to talk to, a parent or a friend's parent or whoever who might know something about it. And then definitely look into real estate, because it's the way to go. It's just the way to go.
Lots of cool stuff. He's freaking 19 years old. He's beating the world up right now. Absolutely killing it. Thanks for joining me on this. I know, it's we usually, when we talk, we're just kind of BSing, just whatever. So this is cool. We get to have a cool conversation, and I get to do my job while we do it. So
also, stay tuned for a YouTube video from me. It's going to be under my name, under the YouTube channel. I haven't posted anything before, so there's nothing there yet, but coming this fall, I plan on uploading a YouTube video explaining how I got the property, showcasing the property, and then going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you need some more knowledge, or just someone that you can relate to in your own journey, definitely hit up Shea on the YouTubes, on the socials. And if you're interested in what Super Tutor can do for you, Super Tutor obviously has those cool Go features, but if you're a student like I am, there's lots of amazing study features that can help you pass all of your exams. I personally use the quiz feature a lot, typing in all my notes or uploading PDFs. It can read PDFs for you and then give you quizzes based on all of your notes. So I was very prepared for my exams this past semester. And if you want a 7-day free trial, go ahead and use code AIDEN, AIDEN, just like it's spelled in my name, and that'll get you 7 days free to try out Super Tutor for yourself. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like this content, let us know in the comments. That'll go a long way in deciding whether we continue this podcast style in the future or not. And we'll see you in the next learning adventure.
So, teach me right.